Well, today we're in my family room once again, and if you've watched another one of my setup videos on this is a projection screen that I installed. It's a perforated screen, but it is a matte white screen, which means I have to keep this room really dark and putting in room darkening shades. I still get some light around the corner, so it's not perfectly dark in here. Obviously, the video is going to attest to that. But if I put the lights on, this screen doesn't look so great. That said, we're going to take a peek at what we can do about that. One of those things that we can do, aside from maybe putting in a brighter projector, if you want to spend the extra money on that, is choose a different screen. So this, like I said, is acoustically transparent. My speakers are behind the screen, but it is matte white. There is no light rejection. What I have in front of me in this box is a screen from Elite Screens that does have ambient light rejection as well as acoustically transparent. So what we're going to do is we're going to find out, shall we switch these screens? How much of a difference does that make? Now, there are different ambient light rejections. How much light does it reject? Of course, the brighter the projector, that's even going to actually have an effect on this. So with my current projector that's mounted at the ceiling, without changing that, without even changing the settings on that, I want to see how much change there is on my visual perspective of what this looks like. And I'm going to try to capture that in a video as well. This video specifically is the setup of this screen and how this screen works to set up, so how it comes out of the box and how it actually goes. My second video, which we'll post at the same time the setup video will go, is how we compare white screen to ambient light rejection, kind of a gray screen. That's what I'm assuming, if I'm not mistaken. So, step back, relax. I will have down in the description, as well as at the end of the video, the link that goes to the second video on my Tech Goots channel that's going to compare these two screens. More or less comparing a matte white to the ambient light rejecting. That's going to be the main comparison. So sit back, relax, let's get going. Okay, so you can see this is the wall where the screen was. I just removed it and set it off to the side. You can see my installed speakers that I have right now, left, right, and center. I don't have my surround sound set up yet. That's coming down probably a few months from now. And of course there's holes all over this wall from a previous TV being mounted here and stuff. But that said, it gets covered with a screen, doesn't really matter. So you can see where I installed the speakers. Let's get to taking this screen out of the box. Okay, so here's the screen. You probably noticed that the carpet here has lots of stuff going on. This used to be my kids' playroom. Lots of things happened when they were younger, including painting and all sorts of good stuff. So this carpet is kind of toast anyway, but that's a future expense. I'm going to point this out real quick. On the box here, there is a sticker that says "Caution: Sharp Machine Cut Edges." That's going to be these aluminum pieces. The edges of the aluminum are going to be very sharp, so do be careful if you're taking your own out of the box. You may find these black little rubber ends. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that very well. Looks like a couple of those fell off of the fiberglass rods. So just if you do see them, just kind of set them over with your fiberglass rods. I'm assuming that's the screen. Okie dokie. So it looks like we do have the owner's manual or a setup guide there. Other boxes here. Actually give you a screwdriver, look at that. Let's take a peek at instructions. There was another bag over here that actually comes with white gloves. This is going to be for, handling it. Probably a couple of reasons for these. Obviously to try to make sure you don't cut your hands. but also the fact that you don't want to get your fingerprints all over the screen. You don't want to get oils on the screen. That is absolutely true, and I should use these when I do the screen for sure. Looks like brochure on Elite Screens items. Thank you with questions and concerns. And then what would appear looks like pretty much a quick setup guide going over the Aeon CineGrey 4D AT series. So yeah, probably something I'm going to probably want to look over before I really get a hold of start. And then memory lines disclaimer, because you may have lines in the screen, but those will come out probably. That's what this says. And that's just because it's obviously packaged, right? So just give it time if you do notice lines. We'll see. Let me take a peek at this stuff, and then I guess we'll get started. So I didn't get very far into looking at the instructions. I do kind of find it crazy that they give you a screwdriver and a little rubber mallet. That's kind of nice. Handy, so you don't have to go looking for it yourself. All these frames and everything, all these pieces are going to obviously be going in, but if you go to that quick start guide, it's on the Aeon CineGrey 4D AT series. Please install black backing cloth before you install the frame. So that's what they say first. But step number one, Velcro installation. Take out 6 frames and 6 Velcro tape out of plastic bag. Basically, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of this aluminum framing material in this handy bag that came with everything. Is the Velcro backing tape that you do have to install yourself. It is nice and sticky, that's for sure. Sticking really good to the bag. Okay, throw that out of the way. So we do have pieces of Velcro, and apparently there are 6 pieces in here. They are taped together, so let's take a peek at one of these at least. Yep, so they're just staggered on each other. And so you'll want to probably take these apart and match them up with the frame, because if you actually notice here, let me get this. Yep, there are different pieces. So on these pieces of Velcro, there are holes already drilled in them, and they're going to go kind of like this. So this one actually goes from a square end, so it's going to go on one like this, like that. Let me over. That's where it's going to go. And you're actually going to line up holes on the Velcro with the screw holes that are on here. And then there's another one here. Probably this is going to be one of the ones that is... Nope, this is also square end on one side and then angled cut on the other side. So that should go to another one of the angled ones. So we're going to go through, and I should say I'm going to go through, and I'm going to install all these pieces of Velcro. And we're going to go ahead and speed up the timeline on this video while I work on that, because it's going to take a few minutes, but it's pretty straightforward, it looks like. If I notice anything that's just not quite right, or it's something I didn't expect, I'll stop and bring that up. Otherwise, it's just going to be taking off the double-sided tape and sticking this Velcro in place. But here's one that has angled cut on one side and angled cut on the other side. So that's going to be on one like this, backwards. Just match up the holes. Looks like they're going to line up real good. We'll see how they go. But let me get started on this and I'll be back. Okay, before I go too much further real quick, essentially what I did is I kind of lined up the first side, just stuck the first like 6 inches, then took all the backing off, stretched it, get it nice and tight, bring it all the way down so it matches the other side, and then just push down the center so it stays where it goes. That made it real quick. Nice straight line because it got nice and tensioned on it. So, all right, I'm going to do the other 5 of these and I'll be back. Okay, step 1 is complete. All 6 pieces have their Velcro. I'm just going to clean up a little bit. Okay, so on the instruction sheet on the Velcro, we are done with that step. The next step on here is going to be for the black backing cloth installation. We're going to wait on that until we build the frame. So, the next instruction sheet, which is on frame building. In this case, we are assembling the A and the B frames and then the C frames. So A and B probably have, I wonder if they have any stickers on them. Not really, but they're pretty obvious in all reality, because if you line them up with each other like this, so one, it's going to be all the way around. Square ends are going to be put together, and then the angle cuts should be opposite each other, so that, you know, this one's going to turn down, and the same with that one. So we're going to be putting these two together. The other two square ends will go together, so that should be essentially identical to this, right? Like this guy here. The black pieces we're not worried about right now. And then once we get these two together, then we can actually get the corners. And these two ones that actually have the angles on both sides are obviously your verticals, right? The ones that actually go in between the two. Okay, so sorry about that. So yeah, we have these two frames we're going to put together, then we'll do the corners last. I'm going to go ahead and open up this hardware bag. Installation clips for the wall. These are plastic corners for the actual frame. So set those over there. These are going to be the screws probably to install everything here. Washers. We have some black screws as well. These are two tension spring tensioners. They're, you know, they just have little hooks on them. That's for us to pull the screen onto it. And then the rest of this, I believe, aside from maybe this stuff, these flat metal pieces. And then the rest of this is all just drywall fastening hardware to mount it. Set that over there. Okay. Oh, I didn't grab that one before. All right, let's see if I can figure out which screws go to what. Okay, so we've got two of the ones. I'm just going to focus on this one right now. Essentially, you have these two bars. So one really big bar like this guy. And then, oh, that goes to that one. And then one smaller one like this guy. So you can see that there's kind of a rib in the middle of it. And that's to just hold it off the bottom. So you can see how there's a center line. That's going to go in on right like that. It's going to slide into the end. And maybe I'll show it on the camera better up here. So you can see it's hollow. And so the bigger one, we're going to slide in down in here, halfway in. And then same with the smaller guy. It's going to go in down here. And just like that. And then we're going to actually have these holes, these two holes up here, and then these two holes that are underneath are Velcro. You're going to use the M4 screws, which are the black screws. These silver ones are going to be for, I think, the outside frame. So that's those. You can use just the standard screwdriver they give you. And what I would recommend doing is just putting the screws in loosely for now. Yeah, so it's in there. And it's not going to go anywhere. But I wouldn't crank those down tight until we get everything lined up. Same thing with the other two as well. And of course we're going through the Velcro, so it's going to be a little bit harder to see what we're going into. Just make sure that they're lined up properly. Yeah. So now we have those ready to go. Actually, my Velcro is coming up a little bit on the far side. And then we're going to take this and slide it into its mate, just like so. And then take the screws and do that as well. And now on the bigger one, at least if we look good all the way across here, I would say go ahead and tighten that up to where you're comfortable with. Nice and snug, so it's not going to come loose. And then I'm going to do the same with these. Let's see if we have to move that a little bit, maybe. And it is actually moving the Velcro a little bit after I tighten it. Okay, there we go. Not a big deal. Okay. That one's now done. It's basically now one big piece. I'm going to do the same thing to this one, and then I'll come back when we go to the corners. Okay, so I had the frame laid out exactly how it's supposed to go, and we're going to start with this first corner right here. Now we do have two brackets, of course, for the corners. This is going to be for the deeper socket here. It's going to slide in like so, right? And it doesn't look like it really matters. It probably looks like there's a little furrow edge there, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that up. And then the same thing with this bracket here. Rounded versus square, I'm going to go ahead and stick the rounded side up. I'll slide that in there. Get these 4 screws kind of going, at least started, and then we'll slide this in and go from there. The last one is going to be when we get to the far side. We'll kind of have to do that a little bit different, just so it slides in together. But that said, what you can do, what I've done before, is get them all started loosely, but in that regard I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. So I'm going to go ahead and, like I said, get these 4 screws started, and then we'll slide this one in. This one's going to be harder to see down in there. Whatever that Velcro, it's just hard to see through it. Okay, I got those started. Now we can take this guy, slide it into the same spots on here, and we're going to want to make sure that the corner, and what happens is we may have to loosen these up a little bit because these are a little tight maybe. Right now it shows that this one's in a little bit. I'm going to push it out so that everything lines up. The corner here and the corner here lines up good. And then angle it, so you know, if it opens up like this or like this, get it so that the corners are actually lined up really good. And that's what we'll do, is that's how we'll tighten everything down so that everything is nice and square. Now, if you had, and this is how I did one of my other installations, is I actually brought a framing square in, put it in the inside corner here to make sure that it actually lined up really good. And you could do that. It's you know, if you get really anal about it like I did, the first screen I ever set up like that, a fixed screen. However, I actually found that on that one, every corner that I did like this, it was perfectly square basically every time, or at least within a fraction. So I'm actually okay with just getting these started and get it so it works. There we go. These are just hard to start on this outside edge. Okay, so that's the first corner, and I did that with the screwdriver that they provided. It actually isn't a bad screwdriver. Good job, Elite Screens. You actually are providing decent tools. I think to save myself some work, I may transfer over to one of my small drills. But if you are going to use a screwdriver or an actual drill driver to do these, put it on, so in my case it's a small 10 volter, but then put the clutch down so that it's not going to hurt, you know, it'll, before it gets too tight. You don't want to get these too crazy tight where you actually strip out the aluminum. Alright, let me set up the camera, and I'm going to get the other 3 corners done, and I'll explain how I'm going to do the last 2. Okay, so real quick, I have a corner behind me, corner over here, corner on the far side. That's the corner I just did. I'm going to do the same. So if I'm going to say that's the top of the screen, I'm going to do the other top one. Then I'm going to do the bottom 2, just get them in this one piece here, and then slide this piece up in to that whole side. Because if you do all 3 corners fully, you're not going to be able to do the 4th corner. You're not going to be able to maneuver this stuff. So I'm going to get that one done completely over here, and then I'll get these 2 ready on the bottom side. So fast forward through this stuff. Okay, so I have both corners in this bottom piece technically, right? So they're both sticking out towards that, so see like that right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide both. I'm going to slide this one in to start on this side. I'm going to go start on this side. I'm just going to slowly work its way up. In. Boom. Boom. That one's in. That one's in. Now, both are in. Now I can finish up the corners, get the rest of the screws in. And that's the, well, the frame is now assembled, so that's one step forward. Now we have this. Right in the middle we have what's called a support bar, and that is adjustable. So the nice thing about this, you see on the support bar, I tell you what, when I'll get a little bit closer to we'll do one side then the other. So you can see where, let me try that again. So you can see right here where the two pieces come together for the top as well as for the bottom. There are two more holes here. That's for the support bar installation. So we actually have the support bar with a bracket attached to it, but we first want to loosen up just loosen it up a little bit, this, because it'll slide up and down the support bar. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side because it's going to have to go into place. And the support bar essentially goes underneath here, and then this bracket will come up and actually screw into place through those two holes with the same screws we've been using for the rest of the setup. At least this is what it looks like, I believe, or maybe it's the smaller screws. Yeah, I think it's the smaller screws. So the silver screws. Maybe these are the M4s, the other ones are, I don't know. Either way, yep, it's these screws here. So I'll get this one in here. I'm not going to tighten that down just yet. I'm going to get this bracket tightened. On the other side. Here. Okay, well, I'm just pulling this bar and the top bar together so that this is actually touching that. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten this screw down, then I'm going to just do the other one real quick off camera. And that is the center support bar in place. I do like this support bar rather than the other ones I've done for other screens. Okay, so now we're going to actually get ready to put the black backing cloth on. And to do that, we got to get the frame up out of the way first. So it's going to be nice and light. It's all aluminum. It's solid. I'm just going to set it against the wall here. I don't have a whole lot of room here. But there is this white cloth that came with everything that essentially you can put down as a protective layer. You don't want to get stuff all over your screen, let alone the black backing cloth. And I'm sure that I've already got dog hair on it because my house is absolutely full of dog hair. So I'm going to lay this out best I can. So that's now going to protect my backing cloth for now from the floor. Okay? So now I have my backing cloth, which, let's see if there's anything I have to do. So, alright, so it doesn't look like it's directional at all, but all this backing cloth is so that any light that makes its way through the perforated screen, because it is perforated, doesn't bounce off the wall and come back to the screen itself. Through the screen, I should say. So just lay out the backing cloth as flat as you can get it. Alright. Now we're going to take the frame and set it on top, Velcro side up. This is a little off yet. And set it down like so. And then we're going to use the Velcro essentially to pull and hold the backing cloth on. So I'm going to try to center it on the frame as best I can. That looks pretty good. And of course I'll stretch it as I go. But I'm assuming that the Velcro is designed, and if you can see what I'm doing here, I'll get a video of it here in a second. Just gonna take this backing cloth, just pull it over the frame. and to the Velcro itself, to the hook and loop. Really just the hook. The screen material, or this black cloth, is really the loop. So all I'm doing is just taking it, going over, and then just pushing it into the hook, the Velcro hook side there, and just going to keep stretching it as I go. I'm going to get the rest of the... I would say that, remember that this is the back, so even if you have a little bunched up or something, I don't think that's going to be a big issue at all. Just don't, you know, go crazy with it, I would say, but a little bit of stretch on here is going to be a good thing. There. And I would argue that you knew you did a good job when it kind of got tight to the end and everything looks nice and smooth, other than the dog hair that I got in there already. But that is what it is. So now the backing cloth's done. I think we're ready to start on the screen. Okay, we're going to repeat what we did. So take the frame with the black backing on it, stand it up, get it out of the way. And now we're going to keep the protective layer down, but now we're going to also put on some white gloves here, because the screen itself, we don't want to get our nasty little hands on. So they gave us these white gloves. There's a thumb, right? Oh, it's inside out. Like, what is this Mickey Mouse stuff? 4 fingers. Okay. They are cotton gloves. Yeah, that's weird. The thumb is in the glove, and you got to push it out. So what is, some people that have these gloves not have thumbs? I don't know. Whatever, it doesn't matter. All they're doing is to keep the oils off your hand from touching the screen. So I'm gonna get some of this stuff out of the way quick. And then we will need the fasteners, or the hooks, as well as the springs here eventually. That said, I apologize if I hit the tripod now. We got this nice tube of screen material. Now we have to put the screen material down, because obviously the actual screen is going to be on the bottom side of this, right? Looks like there might be some material with this too that it's also going to go on it. Okay, I made a small mistake, and I'm going to point it out real quick. I did actually just roll this out. I actually had to roll it back up, because even though you look at this and you think I'm rolling it out like this, right? Well, I didn't notice, and I didn't pay attention, I'll be honest, on the guide, but the inside, inside this roll, this is the top side. The outer side, if you actually look here, says, come on, says back side. There's actually a sticker, so we actually have to unroll it a little bit differently. So in this case, we have to unroll it like this and work it away. This foam padding is specifically to help protect this. So you may have to put some kind of weighted object just kind of right here as you unroll it. I think I'm going to be able to do it just fine without doing that. I'm going to stretch this a little bit here. My protective cloth that I still have down. You're still going to want to make sure this stays down. And make sure you have your gloves on, of course, when you're touching this. Because now we're going to fully expose. And I'll show you how I'm going to do this. All right. So I'm going to flip it like this. Lay the street out. And we have to actually unroll it like this. So you can see this is actually the back side, and there is a sticker in the corner that literally will tell you that it's the back side. So if you don't see that backside sticker, you unrolled it the wrong way, which is what I did at first. Keep this on the, there's that foam back underneath here. So I actually have 2 layers between the carpet and the screen, which is nice. Get this out of the way. There we go. And now we're ready to put the frame over it. So in this case, I'm not going to want to walk on that now. That said, I'm just going to take this guy, set it down on this line, the stitching line of the screen, then walk around it and lay it down like so. I think that worked really good. Okay, one more step in the bag. Okay, so we're going to start on this side. So we have this edge of the screen that actually is hollow. And on the edge, in the corners, if you actually can see this, they are cut, and that's where these guys go. So let me get this guy cut. There's a zip tie on it. 2 zip ties, I apologize. And in here, it looks as though we have 2 longer ones and 4 shorter ones. So obviously 2 longer ones, those are going to be our sides. One for this side, one for the far side. And that goes down there. And then the 4 shorter ones, one goes here, one goes here, and then the other 2 go down there, obviously just like that. So I'm going to slide those down there, as well as this long guy. I'm going to throw him down there too. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these fiberglass rods. They have these nice, I put the 2 that actually came off, I put them on the sticks. And we're going to slide those into the screen. So it takes a little bit of room, but just right here, I'm going to open up the screen and just slide it in. Nice and slick. And it looks like all the way in so that the rubber tip isn't shown. Now it should go all the way down. Oh yeah, all the way down. So now when we actually hook our springs, it's actually grabbing onto it's going through the hole that's in the screen, but grabbing onto the fiberglass rod. I'm going to show you how that goes in down here real quick. So the one I just did is right here. Now I'm going to slide this guy. So you can kind of see if I take this and I just kind of bubble it up and get that started. Once it's started, pretty slick. It goes really quick. And then just pop it in so where you don't see the rubber anymore and you're good to go. I'm going to get the other 1, 2, 3, 4 in, I guess. Alright, now we're going to start by putting these springs in. We're going to start in the center of the sides. Just put 3 on this side, 3 on the far side, and then 3 in the middle of the bottom, 3 in the middle of the top. And then we're going to make sure that they're about equal in terms of tension before we start going the rest. Corners are last, so stay out of the corners. And in this case, if you can actually look, I actually started doing the hooks already and realized I put them in the wrong spot, and I'll show you that. Let's do that right now. So when you hook these hooks in, these springs in, you can see that there's actually a small channel here, bigger channel here. Make sure you're hooking in the small channel. I had actually started hooking in this big channel and realized, whoa, what am I doing? Oops. So hook it in the channel, the small channel, and then use your tool to hook it on the screen material. I'm going to do these 3 real quick. And then I'm going to go to the far side. I'll fast forward through the far side 3, bottom and top, and then we'll see how the tension is on the springs to make sure they're equal. No, I laid out all the springs around, so I basically have 1 spring for each hole. You don't have to do that. You can do it out of the bag, but if I'm getting them out of the bag, it was kind of clumping around, so. Now I'm actually going to do 4 on the bottom and top because there's not really a center hole. See, I made that mistake again. It's not easy. It's not hard to do. Okay, so we have slight tension on all 4 sides. Everything looks pretty good. So now we can actually go ahead and just go nuts. Work from the center out on both of them. Stop at the corners. So there's 4 brackets in the corners. Don't do the corners yet. but I'm just going to go ahead and go crazy. Okay, now we can work on the corners, and you can just do there's 4 in each corner, and just go ahead and do all 4 of them, and then you can do the other 3 corners after you do the first one, just like so. Okay, the good thing is plenty of extra springs should you damage one or lose one. I'm going to go ahead and put my, well, I'm going to still need that, so don't think I'll need these anymore, thankfully, though. Okay, so now we're going to do this edge trim, and that's these black pieces. So I've actually already kind of laid it around, but they have, if you look at it, and I'll get a lot closer here in a second, it has the front that kind of grabs around the front of the screen to put that black edge all the way around, and then the back side's big and has a little hook space where we can actually hook it. Also, we're going to be putting this the pieces to actually bring these together into one piece. So that's what we're going to do first, is bring up the bottom, top and bottom, actually bringing them together, merging them together. And then there's for the corners too. Okay, so now we're going to be joining these clips. There's these flat silver brackets that slide into, let me get this thing out of the way. They slide into here, and then this side's going to slide into here. And then we're just going to use these nice and tight together, and then use the bag of small screws that you're going to have left. And you're just going to use, I don't know if it's going to be too tight, that very tight. I don't know, you know, just like the other ones, don't crank the screw down, but there's no holes that you're going through. It's just using tension on the frame itself. So it's going to screw through and actually put tension on the frame. So 4 screws on this, and then we're going to have 4 screws in each corner. And I'll get a closer up shot once I get these set, so you know what to expect on this one. Not too difficult. We're just bringing, it's just a frame. This is just the aesthetics. You know, it's not going to actually be anything load bearing at all. It's just to give that nice look and all the way around. So, but just like the other ones, we're just going to have to be careful when we do the corners and stuff. So, and then once this goes on here, it's gonna actually go on here, but we have to build it around it, because once you build it around it, then it's just some springs to hold it in place. So I'm going to do each corner with these, and then I'll show you what, I'll get a little bit closer on the corners. Alright, so hopefully this will make more sense now that we're a little bit closer with the corner one. So I got more than enough screws. So I got these brackets, they'll slide into here. I'll slide this side piece into the bracket as well. And we're just going to go until they line up real good, right? So we want that corner to line up the best you can. It's not going to be perfect, and there are corners that go over this, plastic corners. So don't, you know, if it doesn't look perfect, don't worry about that. We got corners to go on top. I would probably argue to pay more attention to the inside corner, getting it as close as you can. And we're just tightening these screws because they're just putting pressure on the frame, on that frame. They're not technically screwing into it. Okay, now I'm going to do the opposite corner on this top, on this, the one not on this side. And then we're going to do the bottom just like we did the frame. We're going to build it and then slide it into place and then finish it off. So that's what's coming next. So for this now, I'm going to go ahead and slide this in here, but no screws, right? Just kind of get it started. Just a little bit, and then I'll get this side started. Okay, started. And now I can work on one side at a time. Okie dokie. That's all in. Now we get the spring and clip it into place and get the corners done. Okay, I'm not going to do an up-close shot on this until the end. But what we got to do is these black springs, these are the B springs. There's going to be one in the middle of each aluminum section. So this side is one section. It's just going to be in the center here. Then on the center there and center there. So there's 4 in the top, 2 on each, the top, 2 in the bottom. So essentially just go around just like we did the screen, and same spot, just put the black spring. So I'm going to go around with the 6 springs and get those in real quick. Okay, let me show you what that looks like. So that's what that's going to look like. It's going to go in the same spring channel, and that's also what the corners look like currently. So yeah, there we are. Now we just got to get these plastic corners on. Okay, so we have these 4 plastic corners, and they just have a wider side and a narrower side, and should go wide side out and clips on, right? Let's see, maybe it clips on the bottom first. Yep, that's what it is. So you clip it on the inside, and then you push on the outside. Quick and easy. And I think we are done with the screen assembly. Now it's mounting the screen. First off, let's talk about the brackets. So they're pretty simple brackets, right? Nothing fancy about these guys at all. It's just that where do they actually fasten? Well, if you can see here, this edge, so this is the top of the screen, but the bottom edge of the frame here, that's actually on the inside, that's where we're actually mounting, is right in here. It actually kind of falls into place. Pretty simple and easy. So that's where we're going with this, is literally right in there. And there's actually a little groove up in there that this edge seeds up into, so it can't be pulled into the screen or anything like that. So that's where we're going with this guy. Now the one thing I want to do is figure out where this bracket's going to be in terms of height. So I need from the top of this to the very top of this edge at least, I would say 4 inches would be perfect, because it gives me about 1/8 of an inch extra. 4 inches down from this to my little brim I have, because I can't go, I have a beam that actually I'm going to be pressing against. So 4 inches it's actually a little bit less than 4 inches, but that's where we're at. And for this 110-inch screen, so they're saying between this bracket here and the other bracket, the 2 top brackets, 59 inches. I'm going to be a little wider than that, because I'm going to go into the studs that I have. That puts me at 64. Okay, so what I did is I took the bracket, I marked up here, essentially, to where I would have my 4 inches that I want, right? So that is my 4 inches right there. I'm gonna make sure I have 4. Right there. So with that said, this is gonna be I'm just gonna go kind of in the center here, and then this side. This side I know I have wood, so I can put the screw into a stud. This side I'll have to put a drywall anchor into. And then same thing over here, where I know I have a stud as well. I did the exact same thing. And of course I'm gonna just do that and that for now. And then I'll make sure they're the same height when I actually fasten them down. But I'm going to put some holes in for the screws. Now I can mount these, And I'm just not going to put them tight until I have the measurement I want. And now I can use my tape measure and get it exactly where I want it. Top ones are done. Now the bottom ones are going to be a little bit different. Those are going to be what I would say are called floating. Right, so we'll actually attach them with 2 fasteners again, but not tight. They should float. I just got to know the measurement between the top and bottom, basically the inside of the top and the bottom of the aluminum, which is in this case 47 1/8. So the difference between this and the bottom edge of that one is 47 1/8. And then those will actually lift up. They're just there to basically, we hook up the underneath, hook it on the top, and then they just float down to keep it from going in and out. So you'll see in a second. Okay, so I just put one in real quick. I measured from my top edge at 47 1/8 down, and that's basically about right there. And then I have a little bit of gap above, so I have more movement. But this is how we want it. We want it to actually float, because what we're going to do is we're going to come in with the screen. We're going to hook the bottom edge first, lift it, hook the top edge, and come back down. And I want these to basically float back down, which means I could loosen this up a little bit more. And then this is going to keep the bottom edge from jumping out, right? Because it's just going to hold by gravity. And then when you have to remove the screen again, you just lift, take the top off, and then bring it back down, take the bottom off, right? So that's what these are. They're not actually weight bearing. They're just to hold the screen against the wall, so it's not doing this. We are set. And so we're ready to go. Like I said before, we're going to bring in the screen over. We're going to hook the bottom edge in. We're going to lift it, hook the top edge in, and then let gravity take it back down. That's it. Now, grabbing onto the screen, if you're going to grab onto the screen with your hands, again, gloves. It's probably a smart thing, so I'm going to do that. And let's get it up. Stand it up. This is going to be one of those things you're going to want a second person with, obviously. So I measured inside to inside. I didn't think about the hook going up. I got to actually be a further inch down, actually 48 1/8, I believe. So I'm just going to adjust that real quick. Okay, so now we are 48 1/4 from the top edge to the bottom edge of the sliding bracket, 1 1/8 down further. Should be good now. Okay, and now I can just work on centering it. Okay, well, I did turn on the projectors to see what's going on here, and you can see that we actually have some black lines around it, and that's because I went from a 106 to a 110-inch screen, so I do have to adjust my projector back. I don't have a zoom lens on my projector. It does have the ability to crop and go in, but it's just a little bit too close to this screen, I believe. So that is one thing I'm going to have to do, but I will say this. Things are looking crisper on this screen. You can tell that this is a higher quality screen. So that is one of those things that I did want to mention real quick. One thing I'm going to point out is there is an Elite Screens logo in this bottom corner. So if you put this in the top corner instead, you may have to just rotate the screen because it doesn't matter that way, one way or the other. But that is there. So that's the install, guys. Now, remember the little disclaimer that I had, or thing that I had mentioned real quick about the material having horizontal, or in this case, vertical lines. There are some vertical lines, and they should go away after a few days. Depending on the ambient temperature in the room. Now, this is my basement, so it's always cooler down here. May take a few extra days for me just because it's not really 75, or, you know, that warmer plus 70 degree temperatures, usually high 60s down here, mid to high 60s. So over time, because it's a stretched material, it's going to sit there. Just let it go. Give it several days to just mellow out. It should mellow out. If it doesn't, then I I guess maybe reach out to Elite Screens. And I'm going to be, this video is coming out at the same time as my review or my comparison between this one and my white screen that I have. I will say, I've already actually turned my projector on, and I'm thoroughly impressed by the colors. The colors pop so much more on this screen than they do on my white screen. It is quite impressive. So, yeah, I'm really liking this. Now, I will say this. I'm not all great things and down things. Just from the install side, everything went really, really well for the most part. Those bottom clips that are just kind of, you know, gravity clipped in so that the screen can't be pulled away from the wall. That's the one thing that I don't like. My other screen, actually, once you got it on the wall, you brought it in, there was actually underneath behind, you could see, I tightened the screw and it fastened it, and then the screen wasn't moving at all. It was attached to the wall. I do like that better. But in this case, because of how small this bezel is around, I'm pretty sure that might be the reason why. I love how small the frame is. It is, you know, maximizing the use of the screen. This screen is physically smaller than my 106-inch screen that I took down, but the display size is 110 inches, and that's just because I don't have a 4-inch wide frame all the way around it. So love it, love it. I'm going to give it several days to mellow out, to take real video of me using it and doing comparison videos with my white screen videos that I did, that I've already taken. So come on back here, or I should say click on the next video here at the end of this video, or at the top of the description. It's going to be available at the same time as this video. So you saw the setup, now you want to see how it performs. Spoiler alert, at least so far, obviously I can see vertical lines in it a little bit from the rolling lines. But man, do the colors pop. And I can imagine that if you have a higher lumen output projector, this would even look that much better. Guys, I'm really looking forward to doing this next set of videos. So thanks for sticking to the end. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you can for me. And let me know if there's another screen that you think that is even better than this one. Of course, I have the sound behind mine, so I need the perforated or the acoustically transparent screen. In this case, this is different. This is a perforated screen versus my other material screen was a woven screen. So they are different in terms of how they actually are acoustically transparent. But man, alive, do the colors pop on this. And I think it's just because it is that solid screen rather than a fabric screen. Could be a few different ways of looking at it. So thanks for watching to the end of the video. Hit on the next one here, and we'll go through comparing this gray or CineGrey screen, ambient light rejecting or reflecting, compared to my matte white that I had before. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you back here on GeekSmart for another future video install. We'll see you soon.